Adverbials. For this one, I'd recommend you go and watch the adverb video first so that you've got a base understanding of what an adverb does before exploring this video with me on adverbials. What's an adverbial then? So first of all, the whole name thing of adverbial, why is it different? Well, this is because an adverb is a word class. We say that this word is an adverb, whereas adverbial is how words can function. And these are two separate things. You can have something that word class-wise is a preposition phrase, like in the garden, but those words can function in different ways. They can function to describe and operate adjectively, or they can function to modify a verb, tell you more about a verb, and operate adverbially. So this is what this is all about. It's how the words are functioning, how they are operating in the structure. So let's look at some examples to make this a little bit clearer for you. I ran. This is our clause. The verb is ran. Who ran, what ran? I, that is the subject. So we have our clause. I can ask questions about that, and my answers will be sometimes more than one word. For instance, when did you run? I ran this morning. Here, this morning is technically a noun phrase, but it's functioning adverbially. Why is that? Because it's telling you more about the verb run, and it's saying when you ran. Let's look at another example. Why did you run? I run to get fit, or I ran to get fit. Here, to get fit is an infinitive phrase simply because it starts with an infinitive. But how is it functioning adverbially? Because it's answering why we did the verb. How did you run? With vigour. Here we have a preposition phrase starting with, but because it's telling us more about the verb, it's functioning adverbially. It's telling us how you ran. And finally, where did you run? In the park. Here, another prepositional phrase, but it's functioning adverbially because it's telling us where we ran. So if you can answer a question about that verb, where, when, how, why, what frequency, under what condition, any questions about it, that thing you answer with is going to be an adverbial. And it can be as simple as a word, I ran yesterday, a phrase, I ran this morning, or even a clause. And this one is really special because we can cross over two videos here, our subordinate clause video and this video here, adverbials, because guess what? These two things work exactly the same way with many, many examples. And when it comes to looking at subordinate clauses, do not even explore them until you have a good understanding of adverbials. Can you first of all look at a clause and say when, where, why, or how that happened? Once you can do that, there are so many options to add on, and one of those options is going to be a clause, and then you've also learned about subordinate clauses. What about punctuating these though? So, as you know from the adverb video, these adverbial modifiers can sit anywhere within a structure. For example, I ran in the morning, or in the morning I ran. You can move it anywhere because this is how these work. You can also, guess what, get rid of it and the sentence still makes sense without it. I ran, full stop. So what happens when we do put it at the front? Well, we put a comma there. This morning, comma, I ran. And why do we do that? Well, as a reader, you want to read the subject and verb of a sentence first in order to know what you are talking about. I ran. And because the information in that first part sometimes could be taken as a subject or verb, for instance, after I walked home, there is a subject verb there, but it's not from the main clause. So to show that it's a separate entity that could go on the end, that could be moved to the front, that could go anywhere or be removed, we put a comma there to show that it's separate from the main clause that has to be included to make sense, and that is just I ran. That's why we use the comma to separate it from the main structure. Let's look at 4 examples to round this learning up. The cat slept. This is going to be our clause. Slept is the verb. Who slept what slept? The cat. We know we've got a clause. So let's ask some questions about that. The cat slept peacefully. This answers how it slept, so it's an adverbial. The cat slept all day long. This answers when it slept, so this is an adverbial. The cat slept because it was tired. Here we're answering why it slept, And we've also created a subordinate clause because remember, subordinate clause here is also going to be adverbial. Why? Because it answers why the cat slept. And finally, the cat slept in the basket. Here in the basket is an adverbial because it tells us where it slept. We could go either side. In the basket the cat slept, or the cat slept in the basket. Remember, it moves, and if it goes to the front, we add that comma to separate it from the main structure to show that it is not to be confused with the subject and verb in the main structure.